As you were talking about the funnel, I just got a vision of I think it's 7 stages of a change agent. Is that correct?
6 stages.
6 stages, and that's kind of the course there. You start out you get chosen, you get elected, and then you go all the way through that process till finally you're connected to a network. Tell me a little bit about those 6 stages, because it really does mirror the process of moving through that funnel, even as you were describing it. I found some correlations in my mind as you were talking about those 6 stages.
Well, the 6 stages, I discovered that in my own journey, most of the stuff I write about because it's my own process. I don't write about things I haven't experienced. And over my journey back in the 90s, when I went through a 7-year pit experience that many of us have gone through, I noticed there were different stages. But over the last few years, I began to see the scriptures from a different light and looking at people from a perspective of them being change agents in culture.
That's good.
And so I found that there were 6 unique stages for almost every one of them. And the first stage is the recruitment stage, where there's some type of circumstance or an event that happens in their life, such as, the Apostle Paul gets blinded by the light. And you can look at almost every biblical character and see that there was some circumstance or event that recruited them into a larger story than what they were living. And so many of us are living in that smaller story.
Sure.
Then the second stage is the character development stage, such as Joseph, where he went through the 13 years of adversity. God was taking him through character development to remove pride and arrogance out of his life, to use him as a 30-year-old over a whole part of the world in Egypt. The third stage is the isolation stage. And that's where God often isolates his leader into a place in order to speak to him. I often say that God turns messes into messages and messengers. David was in the cave of Adullam. John was on the island of Patmos. A number of his leaders have been isolated for a season in order for God to speak to them. The fourth stage is the cross stage, and that's where God uses the character development process, but ultimately to get us to the end of ourselves. Galatians 2:20 talks about, I'm crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ lives in me. And really, the scripture in Matthew talks so much about coming to the death of ourselves. Then comes the fifth stage. He transitions us into becoming a change agent to solve societal problems.
Wow.
And when we begin to see that culture is really defined often by men and women changing or solving a societal problem. And so as a result of that, we see influence in culture. So I think we've had it wrong in culture. As Christians have tried to influence culture, they've missed the boat in trying to do it the wrong way. And rather than just following the model that Jesus did by serving others. And he solved the problem. He solved the fish fry problem. He created, a way to feed 5,000 people, with 5 loaves and 2 fish. And so then, there's the networking element, and that's another stage that has to be, where we really see that unless we walk together, then we really will not have the effect that we can have.